Hi everyone, it's Roger here from What's on Disney Plus. It's time for our weekly live Q&A, and this is the last live stream of 2023 because obviously next Sunday is Christmas Eve and the week after is New Year's Eve. So I'll be back then the first Sunday of 2024 with live streams. There'll still be videos going up throughout the holidays. Is just the live streams, just the way it's landed this year. Just big shout out first off to some of our members that are in the live chat. I can see we've got Dana, Caleb, Tim, we've got Noxwave, Babble Trolling, and Tim. Thank you so much for all of your support. Thanks to everyone who is a YouTube channel member. Thanks to everyone that's a Patreon. Thanks to everyone that sent in the super chat function as well. Really helps. I'm just visiting the website, making sure that that you follow us on Twitter or Facebook. Join the mailing list, whatever way. Just being on the website, watching the videos, all of that helps support me and my family. So again, a big thank you to everyone. I hope everyone has a fantastic Christmas and New Year that's coming up. I mean, hard to believe it's a week till Christmas, but yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens. So this week, so as per usual with this show, I will be jumping in and out the live questions along with the pre-done questions. We've got lots of stuff this week, lots of great things. Keenan says, are you going to do a pre-tape Q&A? No, I'm not going to. I decided that, to be honest, with the Christmas, there's probably not going to be a lot of news. So I figured, to be honest, I figured I would just let that one ride. But if you have got a question and you're a YouTube channel member, make sure you just pop them in the daily video. And I might, if it's a bit quiet between Christmas and New Year, I might end up doing a few extra questions that way. So if you've got something that you want to get in there, pop them in the comments during the week. And to be honest, anytime if you've got an urgent question, pop it in there, especially if you're a YouTube channel member, pop them in there. But if anybody else, just pop them in there. And I'll be trying to answer questions each day anyway. But yeah, I figured the thing is, it's like the pre-done questions and stuff. That means I tend to do them on the Saturday, and I'm going to try and have I say this every year, but I'm going to try and have a little bit less, do a little bit less. I have a tendency just to keep working because I'm at home and stuff. But definitely on Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, I'm just going to plan on having that day completely off. I say that if there's any news, well, I know what I'm like. What's that? So one thing for question is question for Roger. Actually, to be honest, it doesn't really. It's not what I actually do is within YouTube. You can, as long as you put a question mark at the end of a question, I can usually do a pre-select, and if I do like questions, it will bring me up everyone's questions. As long as you put a question mark at the end of it to turn it into a question, I can kind of filter it anyway. So that tends to work anyway. But that's always a good thing. Keenan says, what are your New Year's resolutions? I was going to say revolutions. I don't tend to bother with all that stuff. I tend to, if you are going to make a change, you need to just make the change. I don't think there's holding off until the start of a new year. I don't think that's necessarily going to happen. I think the best changes that you make happen when something happens, when there's a reaction, when there's a thought in your mind of when you feel like you need to change something for the better. Maybe you want to quit smoking. Maybe you want to cut down your drinking. Maybe you need to eat better. Maybe you need to exercise more. Maybe you need to play less video games. Maybe, I don't know, any number of those things. If you feel like, you're gambling too much, maybe you're not spending enough time with your family and stuff. I think just, at a certain point, when that little thing goes off, that's when you need to listen to it, and that's when you're more likely going to make the change on a Tuesday afternoon when you have that like epiphany moment that you need to do something. That is when you should do it. Don't hold off until January and all the rest of it, because it's just a gimmick. I think, like, if you've had bad health, if they say to you, if the doctor says to you, you need to do this because of this, then that's when you need to, you need to make a change. And I think that's personally the way I look at it. And as Kayla says there, I don't believe in New Year's resolutions. I believe in trying to do better every day. And I think that's a good way. I look at it more like that kind of figure. Like, yeah, just try and make the, each day is different. If you screw up today, tomorrow's another day. That's kind of always a good thing to move on with. Right, so I'm going to do this first off. This super chat from Khalid, so who says, "So thank you again for all of your support." Khalid said, "What are your predictions for streaming and cord cutting in 2024?" And let me know in the comments as well in the live stream. What do you think is, what do you think? What do you think is going to happen? So I feel we're going to see a lot more consolidation this year. I think we're going to see. I think Paramount is going to end up getting there'll be some kind of agreement that Paramount is going to get brought out by somebody, and I don't. I mean, I know there's a lot of talk now of like Sundance, but whether or not it gets stripped down for parts, and I could see Paramount becoming a arms dealer at some point, and maybe just licensing out its content globally rather than carrying on as a single app. I don't know if that will happen. I think Stars could do the same thing. They've pulled out of Latin America. They're pulling out of pretty much most countries. They're pulling out of Europe, pulling out, I think, out of Australia. I think we're going to see them retreat and just focus on licensing their content out maybe for a little bit longer. I think that's going to end up happening. I think AMC Plus and all the rest of it, I think they are going to get swallowed up, or they're going to again go into arms dealership where they're selling to Amazon or just on a bit by bit basis. I think we're going to start seeing a little bit more of some of these studios going, look, we're just not making enough for these platforms. If we license this stuff out, we'll make more money. Now, whether or not I don't know if Warner Brothers Discovery, whether or not we might see anything like that. I mean, I think we're going to see some more of those like free TV app things that they run, like Disney Now. Those things are going to start kind of disappearing, and I feel we're going to see more of them going as they just focus on, because once they get later next year, I believe there's another big. I think DirecTV has they're going to have to do a negotiation with Disney, so I think Disney Plus will go into that, and that's going to then set off some more closures, some channel closures. I think we're going to see a lot of that. I think we're going to see a lot of channels sort of starting to close off. This one was a good one. Actually, it was. I just spotted this one here from Chris. He says regional sports networks are struggling to survive, and it shows just where cable is going in the next 5 years. I think we're going to see a shift that because I think there's going to be, I think like your free to air kind of core channels. I think there's going to be a home for there still being like your ABCs and your BBC, those kind of shows. I think people are still going to want to watch those TV shows, but I just don't think we're going to have as many channels. I think we're going to start seeing them drastically cutting back on how many of the channels, and maybe they start bundling in, Max and Disney Plus, all with ads. We're going to see a real explosion of all of this with ads. I think that's going to be a big thing moving forward. I think we're going to see some big changes and stuff. But again, thank you so much for that question. So we're going to start off with a title question. So Caleb said, what were your pros and cons of Disney Plus in 2023? What do you hope to see in 2024? And pop your notes, what do you think is going to happen? What are your cons and pros? So I definitely feel, the pro has to be the launch of Hulu on Disney Plus last week or a week or so ago, because that really is a game changer. That is the thing that we have been waiting for years. And it has felt like Disney Plus in the United States has been on cruise control for well over a year to 18 months since they decided that this was the plan. And they just, I would almost say, gave up. It was just running on just fumes of just National Geographic and Disney Channel stuff with some Disney Plus originals thrown in here and there. And there just seemed to be so little excitement stuff kind of coming through on the US side. And I'm hoping that next year is really going to be sort of that big push forward and stuff. Yeah, I think that's going to be a big change for next year, is that kind of thing. So definitely think that's a pro. The con of that is actually equally the same problem. I felt the way that they handled the launch of Hulu on Disney Plus was pretty bad. I mean, they just dropped it on there with no announcement. There was a confusion on the day when it happened. It was a real ugly launch. Now I know there was obviously the whole thing with Hulu and trying to buy it out, and they seemed to just couldn't maybe even start doing PR for it till they kind of paid the check kind of thing. But and they've been sort of setting out the tone of what was going to happen. But the Q&A section and what they were doing it was all just seemed like, in some ways it was maybe done in the way that they couldn't generate any headlines from people kind of saying, like you've got Pam and Tommy on Disney Plus kind of thing. It's coming, it's coming, coming. But I think the way that they said it with this one app experience got a lot of confusion around the fact that they were going to have people were going to have to sign up, and it was something different. And yeah, I'm really glad it's there, but I do think that launch was very weird, and I'm really hoping that in March that we're really going to see that next big push down of stuff. So I got a great one here, which was also on my kind of list of cons, was from Ricardo, who's just realized I'm on the wrong one. So here we go. So Ricardo says the big con was the purge of content. Yes, this was a real, like, for me, probably one of the, it felt a little bit like a bit of a defeat, a little bit of a major loss was this. Let's refocus myself. I'm gonna get my camera in. Camera. There we go. Hello. It's like, focus on me, please. There we go. Can we get it in on me? There we go. Yeah. So yeah, it does feel a little bit like this. I don't know why my camera is suddenly having a bit of a hissy fit. There we go. Sometimes it mistakes like Mickey and at the back and thinks that's the person. But yeah, I feel like that loss was a real disappointment. It was a real just an admit of defeats. Like what that stuff, most of it, there was, there's a lot of that stuff which was generic vanilla stuff that most people are not, didn't watch, or B, are going to miss. I know there are some things in there that people are going to miss, and I feel like I do question, like, but there's $2 billion. I mean, you've got to look at it. $2 billion, all the stuff that they removed. It just wasn't worth that. And that's the key problem. It was all very meh. There was some, that I do feel like there was some stuff in there which I enjoyed. Clouds, Princess, those were good, some good films. The Mysterious Benedict Society. It literally, I've just got to do an article later today. They've just won an Emmy for it being a great, it's like you've got there's another one was Supernatural that's won some awards. You remove content which is winning awards. That's how, which is really bad. So I definitely feel like there's some cream of the crop that they should have kept hold of, but I can see why they did it. But it was a little bit of definitely a down moment for the year. Yeah, definitely one of the down moments. Seeing if there's any other ones. Kenneth says that Hulu on Disney Plus was definitely the biggest pro, since it puts it on par with Prime Video and Netflix. I think you're definitely going to see now that there's that thing of Disney Plus starting to feel like it's a proper service. It's still not there yet. We're still in like this weird bit. It's a little bit funky in terms of like what's coming on each day. But yeah, I definitely think that's going to be a big thing. But yeah, so those are kind of my pros and cons, really. I think having primetime premieres, that was definitely a good thing. I feel, for the point of view of getting Marvel and Star Wars shows out to as many people as they can in the evening. Is definitely, that cool thing that, you've got this show coming out at prime time. They've just announced Echo has just shifted. I think it's good. It's good for the American market. There is a kind of thing of like, for me in the UK, it really doesn't make a lot of difference, because the show just drops now at like 2:00 in the morning, and as opposed to 8:00 in the morning. So what that will mean for me, like I don't think it's going to matter so much of Echo, because I've only got 2 more episodes to watch. But it would mean then I could actually watch it before the update. I would watch it about 7:00 in the morning before the update. So that was nice. But it does feel, the only thing that's really annoying is it changes then what day it comes out on, because my the Prime audience is in the United States, and it's like it's out now. Echo's out on the 9th of January. Well, it's still out on the 10th for me. It's just unnecessarily cluttery in terms of I like if it launches at midnight in LA time, then the entire world gets it on the same day, and it's just a lot easier in terms of just that's just a personal preference. The 6:00 drop on Pacific time makes no difference to me because I'd be asleep. So it's just there when I wake up. The only thing is, I definitely have to make sure I do not get onto social media until afterwards. Barbatronic said the pro was the Hulu on Disney Plus. The con, I can't find stuff. It's a very clunky. You have to search for what you want. I'm doing like a daily search now to see what's new, to make sure the like last night's new shows have dropped, whether or not they've dropped in. Sometimes it's a little bit like funky again of like how it drops on. Like SmackDown didn't drop when it was supposed to drop first thing, but within a couple hours it was there. I've seen that a few times. But yeah, it doesn't really show, like there's no like new episodes. I think that would be good to see on that Hulu hub. Was that so? If there's a new episode of Jimmy Kimmel or The View or 2020 or something like that, or even Fargo or Murder at the End of the World, it shows you that there is a new episode. They do have it. They do have that little hub in. I think it's Australia. They do have a little like new episodes thing, but maybe that's coming in. Don't worry, Ryan. You don't worry about being late. Just join in now. That's the main thing. So that's definitely it. Let's go through here. So Tim says, will Pixar be putting out 2 TV series on Disney Plus since Monsters at Work got delayed? Well, Monsters at Work, they technically then, yes, you would be getting 2 series because of Win or Lose. Monsters at Work, actually a Disney branded television show. Pixar don't have anything to do with it. It's not, and I don't think we're going to get any more Pixar series after Win or Lose. I think we may get some shorts, like some car shorts and some things here and there, but I think they're going to be going back to focusing on theatrical films. I don't think I think they might give you some shorts, but I don't think they want to be going into series and giving us the goods without us going to the cinema. Tim also says, how many Star Wars series are Disney Plus having in 2024? As Star Wars Explained is saying that Tales of the Jedi is also coming out. There is a Tales of the Jedi season 2. I think it's, I don't recall. I remember at Star Wars Celebration they talked about it. So we're going to get Skeleton Crew, and we're going to get Bad Batch season 3, and we're going to get was it the Acolyte? So we know we've got 3 coming. I think Andor is going to bump back into 2025 to give them a little bit more pushback to spread them out a little bit more. I think Andor will get bumped back myself, but yeah, those are the main ones. And Tales of the Jedi, and it might sound bad, but animation, especially short animation, doesn't really push the needle that much. Dana says, hope you have a happy Christmas and a happy New Year. Thank you very much. Hope you do as well. Ricardo says, in January, the Fox channel in Portugal are going to be rebranded as Star channels. Next year, it seems like the end of the international Fox channels. Yeah, I mean, I mean, it's like, are they rebranding to Star a little bit too late? You know, I don't know. It's definitely kind of one. Knoxwave says, what are you most looking forward to in 2024? I think for me, definitely getting Hulu on Disney Plus fully operational is something that I'm really looking forward to, just having some continuity and a little bit more better like PR and a little bit better like working out how this works. That's what I can't. It's already so much nicer being able to talk about a new show coming out and being able to be like, and it's also on Disney Plus in the US. It's just so much easier, and just that line is disappearing between the two. That's what I'm really looking forward to in terms of content. The Acolyte is definitely one I want to see. Skeleton Crew, that looked fantastic. Both of those shows looked really good when I saw the trailers at Star Wars Celebration. Personally as well, in 2024, looking forward to heading out to the D23 event as well. That's the plan. So that's kind of going to be a big one as well. Let's see here. Chris says, do you ever see Disney removing the library content from Hulu or only having it on Disney Plus or Hulu? I can't see a point. I think the reason is right now is they might as well share it because they make more money on the ad revenue because they get the ads on it. And 90% of Hulu subscribers are apparently on the ad tier, so they make more money that way. I think that's why we've been seeing a lot of the stuff going over to Hulu, because they actually make more money on it with the ads. So that's kind of counteracting some of this stuff. But yeah, I think we are going to see some library stuff here and there disappear. Knoxwave said last week, I have seen Wish in theaters and it's one of my favorite films, and the soundtrack is really good. I really enjoyed listening to the music. I haven't seen it. I'll be honest, I have fallen into that category of it came out. I wasn't, it was just one of those weekends where it was just like, I can't be bothered. My love, my love cinema is not great. And I was just like, I'll wait. It's like, it looks really good and I want to see it, but I don't have to see it at the start. And it is, I mean, and it's bad, really. I mean, you think of like what I do, and it's like, even I was there going, yeah, I'll get around to it. I'll get around to it at some point. Yeah, just that's kind of it, really. Knoxwell says, when I watched Wish in the theaters, they didn't show Once Upon a Studio before the film starts. I know they were originally going to do it, but they didn't. Yeah, so that was the original announcement. And I then got contacted by somebody at Disney telling me that it wasn't, because they wanted me to remove that from an article, which indicated to me that was definitely the case. Of that was because you don't get that. I don't get that very often. I think they changed plans, and I think they decided to use it for the Disney 100. Therefore, didn't want it in front of Wish. Tim says, I hope the Disney Channel and Disney Junior shows get international release dates at the same time next year. This is one thing I'm really hoping we start seeing a little bit more of, is as these contracts with some of these platforms have hopefully expired, and maybe like with Disney Plus getting more unified, I'm hoping that's what's going to happen globally. And if they're putting out a bit less, I'm hoping that we can start having more global releases for this content. And yeah, I mean, whether or not I think we're going to see a lot less dubbing. I think we're going to see a lot less subtitles, but I do think we're probably going to end up seeing a little bit more. That's what I'm really hoping for, because it's been a little bit, especially with Disney Channel stuff, it doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, I suppose I could look at it and go, like, releasing an animated series, like a preschool series, it has to be dubbed. Like here in Europe, it needs to be in Italian and Polish and stuff. There's no point putting it out in just English. But then I always feel like, why in England do we not get it at the same time as like Australia? Because Australia's been getting a little bit faster than us. Keenan says, what if American Idol simultaneously airs on Disney Plus and ABC? Well, that's a good point. That's a very good point. Maybe it will do. Barbatronic says, I think Disney will be reorganizing its streaming plan. I think we are definitely seeing the streaming plan is starting to come together. I think we are the move of Hulu and Disney Plus together, the move of what we're seeing in Latin America with Star Plus and Disney Plus, what we're seeing maybe happening in sort of India might be slightly a sidestep that I wasn't expecting. But one unified platform is just going to really strengthen Disney's streaming plans, because they're not. I think the trouble is, we see it here in the UK, where you see the adverts and stuff, and it's showing Grey's Anatomy and The Bear alongside the Disney stuff. Where in the US, it's so split, and I think like when you start seeing those ads coming up of Abbott Elementary available on Disney Plus and 911 available on Disney Plus, that's going to start just that psychological thing of there's value in Disney Plus, there's content on Disney Plus. Yeah, we did that one. Right, let's just do some other questions here. We've got quite a few here. So Keenan says, I heard rumors that Lilo and Stitch live action remake will release in June. That's what Daniel RPK has said. Whether or not that's right or not, I mean, that would make sense for it to be a summer movie. That's what it makes sense. See you later, Ryan. Keenan says, could people use Showtime with Hulu on the same account as their Disney or their Paramount Plus prescription? I don't think so. I don't think that's works, because it's kind of like a replacement for the cable network, because you're subscribing to the cable platform. It's going to be a little bit funky. I think I did remember seeing that in the Q&A. Mamo says, what do you think is going to happen to Disney Plus Hotstar in Indonesia, Thailand, and Malaysia? Also, the Hotstar X app in Middle East, North Africa, and South Africa. I wouldn't be at all surprised if the Hotstar branding is lost from Indonesia, Thailand, and Malaysia. I think that could end up being. I think Hotstar is going to end up getting sold. I just do not see the Hotstar content coming in Like here in the UK, we still have Hotstar as a separate app. They moved it into Hulu in the US, but what's really telling to me is the fact that they didn't include that in the Hulu on Disney Plus. That's a bit strange to me. The fact that they didn't include it in the Hulu on Disney Plus indicates that maybe they haven't got long-term plans for it. Viewing numbers might not just be enough to warrant it, but I could see them like rebranding, getting rid of the Hotstar branding. I think the Hotstar X app, I wouldn't worry too much about that. I think that is just more of a separate, they've just separated it in those regions. I think a lot of it is down to like the way it's presented with like telephone carriers and mobile phone. It's just a different system. I personally would have preferred a single system, but that doesn't mean that in those countries that they can't sort that out later on and put it all in. Okay, we did that one. Right. Keenan says, what if for some reason James Cameron passed away before any future sequels released because he'd be 77 when Avatar 5 comes away? I mean, I don't know whether or not they would have planned for it, but obviously they'll have an outline. They're already working on 3. They've already filmed some of 4 in the hope to start filming the next part of 4 once 3 comes out, because essentially there's going to be a time jump. So I think the kids are all going to have grown up a bit, so their voices will have changed, and like the main guy that plays Spider will be that much older. But I think with Avatar 5, I think he's been planning. I mean, I think the story is going to be pretty much rolled out of what he wants. But you're right, it does probably need to be unplanned a bit, just in case. I mean, 77. I mean, I know it's a kind of catch-22. You get a lot of people that are, they get into 80s, 90s and still carrying on. But at the same time, 70s for a man is still, very hit and miss. Mamo says, how would you summarize 2023 for Disney, and what do you think will happen in 2024 for Disney? Let's be honest. I think I definitely would say, let's put 2023 it could have been a lot better. It was a little bit of a mess, to see the understatement. They have just been bumping into problems left, right, and center. They have got a massive problem to try and fix in 2024. Their movies have been underperforming. The Disney Plus has been underperforming. The show's ratings aren't doing so good. They've got the stock battle going on. Stock's a little bit better at the minute. They got the proxy fight. Iger, just with all the bad. There's just been so much bad publicity over Disney, and Disney's become the whipping boy. And I think we're just going to continue to see that happen right through until next year, all of next year with the US election. I think Disney has now just become the whipping boy of Hollywood. I think it's just going to get picked on with social media, and I think that's just what's going to happen. I think the way that what's happened, like with Elon recently, I think all of this stuff is just going to mean that they're easy pickings for any time anyone wants to score some quick points. And I do think, Disney they're gonna try and get out of this situation. This whole thing of like being political. They are going to start scaling this back. They are going to be changing, their apparently messages. They're going to try and make things, I'd imagine, more centralized, more neutral, to try and stop this. And I think that's probably is for the best. I do think, you should try and make the content so everyone can enjoy it. And I think that's definitely a key thing. That everyone needs to be able to enjoy these films and stuff. And you shouldn't have parents worrying about what's in a Disney movie. I do feel like that's if you've got to that point, that is not a good sign for Disney. There are some things that I think they could, I don't think they should completely back down on some of the stuff. I mean, yeah, it's, and I think this whole thing of the idea of this is political and that's political, and this, like every story ever made by Disney, there is some kind of, you could pick on one particular thing as being a issue or a political issue or some kind of problem. That's kind of the point of a story. There is a conflict. There is something in there that they need to. And I think, they're just going to have to just try and navigate it a little bit better. I think with having less releases is going to put them under much things. But it's a very, very weird situation for them. I don't think they're used to it. So I think they're going to keep their heads down a little bit more. I think that's going to be a key thing. Seeing here, Disney can try to be neutral at the end of the day, but they can't control how the Republicans. Well, I think that the thing is like you have got this whole situation, but it also is a global thing, and it's not necessarily just about the US politics. Globally, some of the problems that have been coming up that they, are global, and it's not about which side you're on. Different cultures and stuff deal with different things, and they are going to have to be a little bit smarter with it. I think they went on a lot of topics, not just any one particularly, and I think they just need to be a little bit more centralized and be like, do we need it? I think the creators side of things, they're going to have to be like, do we need to ruffle some feathers? That's the key thing as well. Are we putting this in because it's core to the story, or is it there just to ruffle some feathers and get some brownie points and stuff? That's the thing for me. If you're just putting it in to do the second one, then what's the point? Just, I think that's, we want to have strong storylines. We want to have this kind of content in there. And I think that's really important, but it shouldn't just be sort of shoehorned into everything if it doesn't need to be. I think it has to make sense. Tim says, will the Proud Family Loud and Prouder season 3 come out in February like season 2? And you like the reboot better than the original series? See, I'm a little bit too old for the first series. I didn't really gel well with this new one. I mean, it could be February. I mean, I just don't see a reason why it wouldn't be. Mamo says, with the upcoming merger of Disney Plus and Star Plus, will Disney use the US version or the international version of the app? I'm guessing it's going to be the new version. I would imagine it's going to happen after the US one, where I think we're going to end up with a global update with having more content in there anyway. Whether or not, it's like the sports aspect, bringing the sports into Disney Plus in Latin America is going to be something different. I know Hulu does offer some live sports, so whether or not they put that in. Now, Disney does have some sports internationally with ESPN, like here in the UK, but a lot of it's been licensed out, so they could do some stuff. But it's very tricky with sports. Matt says, what changes could you see happening in 2024 to Disney Plus? I think we're going to get a major update in March. I think this is going to be the big shift. I think this is when we are going to see lots more collections. I think we're going to see an overhaul of how Disney Plus looks, because even the Hulu on Disney Plus stuff, it's just a reskin of the Star brand. It's nothing really in there that's other than you got those network hubs. Everything else is pretty much the same. So I think we're going to see a little bit more of an update, maybe promoting stuff a little bit better. I think that's definitely a key thing. Babak says, when do you think Wish, X-Men 97 and the Marvels will drop onto Disney Plus? So I'm guessing Wish probably will be February or March, maybe March, with the Marvels dropping maybe before that for maybe February. And X-Men 97, if you go for the Marvels in February, maybe March for X-Men. Matt says, what do you think of the new Doctor in Doctor Who? Really, I mean, the 5-10 minutes that we saw in him so far looks fun. Looking forward to watching the Christmas Day special. It just looks really fun, and I like it's always a good thing when you get a brand new Doctor. It's time to come in, and this is a brand new character. He's not going to act the same as the previous ones. That's definitely going to be a way forward. Dana says, aside from Latin American Disney Plus, Star Plus, and the Hulu Disney Plus marriages, what are your hopes for the Disney Plus platform only? I think generally we're going to see just an upgrade to it. And I'm hoping for more global releases, much more of these global event stuff, things that like with Shogun and the FX things, where they start getting a little bit if they're putting out less, then we can start getting more. I am really also hoping that with the changes in the US, what we might start seeing is some of this content getting out better to the international market. So it's like, I kind of feel like, why don't we, give us The View, give us Jimmy Kimmel, give us those ABC News documentaries the same time as the US. Maybe don't do, you can kind of say, look, these are English only. There's no subtitles or anything like that because they're just the way it is. Put them out there. Let us have it. That would be kind of cool to see what they do with that one. Kelly said, who are your winners and losers in streaming of 2023? I definitely say the winners would be, I think Netflix has done really well. I do think Disney Plus has ended on a high with the Hulu stuff being added in. I definitely feel Paramount Plus is kind of in the losing character. Max seems to just be like muddling its way through. I don't know what's happening in that one. Yeah, I think we're definitely seeing now that we're seeing a big shift from streaming now to the point of view where things are different. Things are very different now, and they're all about making profit. And I think we're just going to see more changes stuff. But I also feel like all this data coming out about like what people are watching. On one hand, it's good, but we're definitely starting to see how little people are watching, and it's very. And I've had like a few people like there's like when we have like get asked us a lot about like when's Mouse and House coming, or when's this show coming, or when's that show coming. I want it on there. And you look at the viewing numbers of what people are watching on like Disney Plus and like especially Netflix after their big drop. People ain't watching this stuff. There's so much. And in some ways, having all this content, it doesn't really the numbers aren't there to warrant some of the costs of involved in doing it in. Tim says, when do you think the third season of Welcome to Wrexham will drop? The guys over at Fearless and Devotion Wrexham podcast say it will drop sometime in April. Yeah, I mean, I think they probably will be. I know they've been filming it and trying to get it turned around a bit quicker. I mean, I do feel like with these shows, with like 15 episodes or so, they kind of got to have to wait until the end of the season. But then they could, if they start like April time, that would run them right through the summer, and then they have the new season with Wrexham starting then in like September time. Bubbock says, I read that Captain America got a new writer, even though shooting is done and they're working on reshoots. Is it normal to bring in new writers this late in the process? Marvel always plans for reshoots. They always do this. This is nothing new. This is something that happens a lot. As regards to bringing in writers, it has happened a lot in the past. This is going to be a case of this is better for us. This is better for... And here's the thing as well. And let's be honest. If this was 20 years ago, or even 10, maybe even 10 years ago, you wouldn't have a clue. You'd watch that movie when it comes out and you wouldn't have a clue any of this stuff has ever happened. This stuff could have been happening for decades and we never would have known because we just didn't get all this information. Now, we in some ways, we all know a little bit too much. All right, let's jump into the live one, see what we've got here. Let's see what we've got here. Tim says, do you think season 5 of Phileas and Ferb will be released in 2024? Yes, it's definitely coming. I know they've been filming it now. Do you think Apple will buy any more studios? I don't know. I mean, I do feel like if they brought Paramount, that would really help give them a lot of library content. But do they want to be in the TV business and stuff? I tell you what, I've been watching Apple. I got a 5-month free subscription to Apple Plus. And I've been really enjoying the content on Apple TV Plus. We've watched Hijack. I just watched The Family Plan this afternoon. That wasn't that great, but I'm watching Monarch. Or just watched Tetris the other day. I've been really enjoying Apple TV Plus. There's some great stuff on there. Matt says, what shows are you looking forward to watching in 2024? I'd definitely say Acolyte, Skeleton Crew, Agatha Christie. Shogun is definitely one I'm really looking forward to. Extraordinary Season 2. That's another one. Okay, yeah, we did this one. Matt says, what do you think they'll add sports to Disney Plus? I think we're going to end up seeing an ESPN Plus go into Disney Plus in the US. And I don't know if that might happen the same thing in Latin America at the same time. So that can kind of that might be the way of doing it. Kelly says, speaking of Star, Reuters did report that the potential Reliance Disney India merger will face antitrust concerns and both times have to make disinvestments. I'm not surprised that would happen. That would have to happen. Ricardo says, apparently the delay of the Star rebrand in the rest of the world was because ads and TV contracts of Fox were sponsors internationally. That's why Spain is taking more time. Yeah, I think that would make sense with that. Barbara says, will I get Paramount Plus with Showtime through subscription? If you get it, you have to go through the Hulu hub. I don't think you'll be able to get into Paramount Plus through it. I don't know quite how it's all going to work yet. Because you can't do it at the minute with your Showtime thing. But Matt says, if Paramount is selling the content, who do you think will buy Star Trek? I think it'll all get picked up at the same time. Chris says, what do you think Disney Plus's biggest mistake in 2023? I think for me, there's one was the content removal in May was so badly handled and was such bad publicity. That was just bad. But the biggest one for me was the price rise. That price rise that they did with just pushing up the ad-free version so expensive really gave Disney I was like $3 a month more for the ad version. I think that was, I know they're trying to get the profitability and they just took the hit on it. But I'm going to be honest, it's kind of a weird thing with Disney. They announced like I think in August that they were going to be putting the price up, and they got all the headlines, and then they put the price up in like October, and they got all the same headlines, and of course people then going, well, you only just put the price up, and it was a bit like, yeah, you kind of made it. They kind of ended up like double dipping on the news and then I think in some ways, like if you're going to do the price rise, maybe better doing it like the Netflix route of just going, we're putting up the prices next week, or we're putting up the prices this week, and just do it. I might just be, and I'm hoping now that maybe we can just calm down and just do the $1 on the ad version. I think they need to keep. I don't think we're going to see an ad price rise on the ad-free version until they sort out the Hulu stuff. Tim says, Wish doesn't come out until Boxing Day in Australia. Yeah, this got a little bit of a stretched out one. It only just came out in Japan this weekend. It's doing really well, apparently. Tim says, I hope that Tiana and Moana series come out next year. I don't think the Moana will do. Tiana maybe, but I think Moana's, we've not really heard anything about that one. Noxwave says, my favorite TV shows this year were Ahsoka, Loki, though very good. Secret Invasion, I enjoyed it. High School Musical, the season 4. I kind of drifted off on that show a little bit. I enjoyed season 1, just kind of it got worse and worse. The Bear season 2, fantastic. And Only Murders in the Building season 3. I enjoyed that show, but I'm really hoping with the 4th season that this is the end of it. I feel like it's naturally reached its end of it. We're just going to look at the poll here. So your favorite moment was 60% of you saying Hulu on Disney Plus. Let's end that on there. So let's do a quick just do a new poll. So which show are you looking forward to the most? So we're going to put in Skeleton Crew, Echo, Agatha, and Acolyte. I think they're going to be the big core ones, really. Let's see what we've got here. Tim says, when Paramount launched in Australia, Showtime was already included in the platform. Yeah, I know, like here in the UK, like we didn't have, like Showtime really wasn't a thing. So I don't know quite what it's like in Australia. What country is the luncheon in 2024? I don't quite. Oh, here we go. What countries could Disney Plus launch in 2024? I don't think they're going to launch anywhere new. I know there's some countries in Africa and Vietnam and some other countries and stuff that they could still launch in, but I think they're just going to focus on getting the countries they've got, getting the ad tiers up and running, and getting all that running first off. Barbatronic says, do you think that Disney will sell Hotstar because it's holding Disney Plus back from being profitable? I think what they're going to, by the looks of it, what they're going to do with Hotstar is sell it out to basically push it off into a separate company. So they remove all the losses from Hotstar and put it onto another company. And then that company is then just paying Disney the money that it needs. And probably Wall Street isn't even going to pay any attention to what's going on in India. And it's going to look better on the books. And that's going to be what's happening by the looks of it. It's going to be a little bit of an offshoot. Kay says the Hotstar X user interface should be the blueprint for Disney Plus worldwide with some tweaks. I wouldn't be at all surprised if that is very much. It wouldn't surprise me if that was what's going to end up happening anyway. And like they've basically just been like using it as a test for a while. Ricardo says, right now it seems like Disney plan with Hotstar is not to sell it, but instead search for a majority partner who makes a decision and will remain. Yeah, I also feel as well, maybe they don't really understand the Indian market as well, and therefore like let it be led by companies that are actually based in India. I think getting out of India is a bad idea, but I do think this one's interesting. I remember someone from Indian media said that the merger between Reliance and Disney happens. Ultimately, it'll be merged at paralleling Hulu and Disney. Yeah, I think it makes sense for that one. Tim says, I had to cancel my What's on Disney Plus Patreon membership due to budgeting. No worries. I mean, you're a member here on YouTube, so that's great. And your support on any platform is great. And then, to be honest, if you were sitting here right now and you're like trying to decide, do I go Patreon or do I go for YouTube channel members? I definitely can see YouTube channel membership makes a lot more sense from your points of views, because you can join in on the live chats, and yeah, it just works. So I definitely think that's it. But if everything going on with the cost of living crisis and stuff over the last year, I completely understand all of this stuff. The cost of everything is just shopping, your groceries, your mortgage, everything's going up. So that's why I don't really push like memberships and stuff too much. I don't expect it. That's why I like putting it out for everyone to be able to watch the show, so anyone can sort of do it. Keenan says the only streaming service that never struggled was Paramount Plus on Peacock. They are struggling. Paramount Plus is really struggling because the whole company is struggling with Paramount. They can't get it going. The whole company is struggling at the minute, and it's likely to get picked up. There's been talks that some companies could be picked up. Peacock is also losing Comcast a lot of money. One of the big problems that Comcast has got is that they are trying desperately to cling to the idea of what used to be. And they're trying to come up with all these funky little ideas of trying to keep people engaged in their current system. I mean, them launching Now TV in America was like, well, why did you do that and not just boost up Now TV? Why you launch another product? It feels like they're just they're launching all these different products in the hope that they'll find something that older people that don't want to go just cord cutting will keep it. I don't know. I mean, it's just been reported this past week that that the Peacock here in the UK is closing because it literally had like 20 shows on it. Don't worry about it, Keenan. Do not worry about it. There's no worries. This is why it's a Q&A. You ask the questions and I answer. I mean, I mean, that's the kind of key thing. I think the only ones really making a profit right now are Max has managed it, but then that's because of just wait. I mean, did you see that report about like the 60, like Warner Bros. Discovery is like 60% chance of going bankrupt, and Disney's at like 1% or something like that. But yeah, so that's that one. Kelly says there's a good reason why so many older films end up on free ad-supported services, since they only have library content and paid streaming. Also, just brings in revenue. I think we definitely need to get into a new mindset. And I definitely feel like I've shifted a little bit over this last year. Disney Plus is not going to be the exclusive home for everything under the Disney banner. Everything in that Disney vault from all their different platforms, it is not all going to be on Disney Plus exclusively. I think we can forget that idea. It ain't happening anymore. The whole idea is gone now. We're in a new era of they are there to make money. And if X wants to give them some money for it, if they can get it non-exclusive, great. But if they can get more money and it's exclusive and they don't think there's any value in it, they're going to license it out. And I definitely feel ABC stuff is much lower. Let's jump back in some of the other questions. Daniel says, do you think that Disney will announce in 2024 a closing date for the Hulu app or the conversion to it just like TV? I don't think we're going to get the closure of the Hulu app until I would maybe say 2025. I don't think we're gonna get that till about 2025. I don't think. And yeah, I don't know. It like depends on with the live TV. I'm guessing it. Did you all get an advert that just a second ago? Did you all just get, because it suddenly like the amount of people watching just dropped. So I'm just wondering, like, that was a bit odd. Connor says, has common sense prevailed regarding the Disney Plus and Star Plus merger? Yeah, I think they finally got there. I think that's definitely a thing. Tim says, with Ryan Reynolds being in If, Imaginary Friends, and the film coming out on May 17th, is that why Disney pushed back Deadpool 3 from July to May? No, it's the simple thing is Deadpool 3 is just not finished. They're still filming it. And they need to do special effects and they need to do all the work on it. So they needed those extra few months to get it ready. I think If is just jumped in on the spot because there's an opening in the window. Yeah, and I don't think it would have been a good idea for them to. And I think they maybe were like, "Look, it's good. We're ready to go." That film looks really fun. I'm really looking forward to seeing that one. Aaliyah says, what do you hope Disney Plus does or accomplishes next year? Happy holidays. So big thank you and a hello and happy holidays to you as well. So again, next year I'm hoping we get the Hulu on Disney Plus launched globally or not sort of launched, get that going, and that then ripples out to everywhere else that we all get a better experience with a new upgrade. Global releases better. So that's kind of what I'm hoping that we see next year. Dana says, what has been your top favorite things that Disney Plus has done this year? So the Hulu on Disney Plus app add-on is good. In terms of shows and stuff, definitely feel like what we got here, like The Bear was really good. I enjoyed Ahsoka a lot. Mandalorian was really cool. I enjoyed Loki. And I'm just trying to think, what else shall we put in the pile? I'm trying to think what else has been really. I don't know. So I can't I'm having a bold moment. Can't think of one. King says, once Hulu's fully integrated into Disney Plus, I think there could be some streaming channels on Disney Plus. I mean, I don't know. It's this kind of weird thing with this like background like TV of like having these streaming channels of just like just these constant rolling things. Because I see them all the time on like Pluto TV. They come up and stuff like that. Do you read? It's like I don't quite get it. It's almost like the kind of thing you just put it on and just leave it, and it's like you don't want to bother like trying to like decide what to watch as you just flick through the channels and stuff. I mean, yeah. The key thing is really is does enough people, if enough people are using it, they'll do it. If there's not enough, maybe not. Elliot says, what are some of the shows that Hulu has that Star doesn't have? There's actually a lot. There's a lot of shows that Hulu has that we don't have internationally on Star. So first off, licensed content. There's a lot of licensed content on Hulu on Disney Plus. The Fox content. So there's a lot of reality and like shows on there. Things like Hell's Kitchen, Lego Masters, and stuff. So they aren't available internationally. A lot of the times these shows on the international version, because a lot of these reality TV shows, they end up making them in every country. They kind of license out. So I mean, Hell's Kitchen, we have. Well, I don't know if they still make it, but it was a British show. They take it. So there'll be a UK version, Australian version, and all these different ones, like MasterChef. We have our own version of MasterChef. We have our own version of Strictly Come Dancing with the Stars. So a lot of these shows they've licensed out, so therefore they tend to stay in their own country. There's also a lot of there is a lot more stuff, like a lot of ABC News content that we don't get, like The View, GMA. You get Jimmy Kimmel, you get that kind of stuff. I mean, it's really weird. It was really weird seeing Hollyoaks and Coronation Street are on Disney Plus now in the US. I'm not watching them. I stopped watching them about 20 years ago, and I am not watching them now. That's definitely, there's definitely that kind of thing of there's a lot of licensed content. Now, how long some of this stuff is on there, who knows? There's some content from CBS, so that's it. But that's kind of the big key difference. But we have licensed stuff here in the UK as well. We have a lot of British movies and shows that aren't available on Disney Plus in other countries. Babak says, do you think one day all of Disney Plus will look the same in every country aside from what content? I think, we're going to have a more unified Disney Plus, definitely. We've got two more pre-done questions and then we'll be live for the rest of the show. Connor says, Comcast currently own the Peacock, now Hey and Universal Plus streamers. Do you think they'll be the next to streamline their streaming business? You would think so. I would hope so. It does feel like they seem to be drastically just trying to put their fingers in the bucket to stop the people leaving Comcast, and they're like, we don't want them to leave, so we're going to just come up with all these weird ways of trying to keep them engaged and stuff. And it's like Peacock, Universal have got so much great content, but again, like you say, they spread everything out because they want more money from it. And yeah, it is quite strange. Peacock, Now TV, all these kind of things, just really weird. It's like Now TV here in the UK. So I got a Sky last month, and we were looking at like, or should we get Now TV? And I was like, there's nothing on here. There's nothing on here that I want to watch. There's no new shows. And some of the reality stuff's on Hey You. And it's like, it's just not worth. There's just not enough on there to warrant doing it. Last of our pre-done questions, and then we'll be live again. So Dana says, do you think Disney should work with Paramount Global and make it so Paramount Plus goes worldwide under Disney Plus to do some consolidation, being that Paramount Plus struggles to go? Well, they've already been making a lot of deals. It seems to be maybe more likely that they might go with Apple. Disney, I don't think are in a position where they can actually team up with anyone to offer any money. I think they aren't in that financial situation. Right, let's go up the question. Let's go down the live chat. So let's see what we've got. Chris says, I think the streaming market is oversaturated, and why so many good shows do not get the viewers is that there's so much to watch for so little time. That is definitely something. It's like that key thing as well of like time. Even the streaming bosses talk about time is their opponent. It is not necessarily that the launch of Stranger Things versus Loki or whatever it isn't the only thing they've got to watch for. It's like, is the audience on TikTok? Is the audience on Fortnite? Are they playing video games? Are they listening to music? Are they reading? Are they out with their friends? You know, and I think we're definitely seeing it, and I see it a lot where people are trying to compare streaming numbers to during the pandemic. And you're like, yeah, we were locked in and we couldn't do anything else. Now you've got a lot more choice. There is a lot more choice out there. And so I definitely feel like there is too many shows. There is too much. I think we're definitely seeing more. And I think, again, it's just like they've all been throwing as much content out there to get as much of your attention. But unfortunately, we've only got so many eyeballs and we can only watch so much. So like this past weekend, so like the Netflix, The Crown came out, season 6. Me and my wife binged that over 2 weeks, over 2 nights. We didn't watch anything else because we were watching that. So that took away that was the main thing. We've been watching Vigil on the BBC. I was watching Survivor and like dancing, Strictly Come Dancing last night. Today we watched Family Plan and Indiana Jones. So there's only so much stuff you can watch at any given time. My wife tends to watch a lot of different stuff to me, and like, when I throw in there, I watch a lot of stuff on YouTube. I would waste way too much time like watching stuff there. Then I, if I might try and watch some football match, or I watch some wrestling, suddenly, I find it quite strange, like even just with wrestling, like I haven't got time to watch SmackDown, Raw, and NXT every week. So I just watch the highlights on YouTube, and that's kind of, and I feel like, there is only so much you can watch. Tim says, I got the Apple TV for the Major League Baseball Friday night games and Major League Soccer. Well, that's good. That's good for it. I've been like imming and ahhing of whether or not I get Diaz Game Pass for the NFL. I've been like toying with it, but it's like it's quite expensive for what it is. But yeah, that's good. If you enjoy it, I have like WWE Net, but sport is expensive. Tim says, when do you think the ad-supported tier will come to Australia? And it is coming next year, but they've not really announced any details. So I expect once we get into like New Year, we'll start getting that kind of information start rolling out. Noxwave says, I got Apple TV to watch Monarch, Legend of Monsters. It is really good. I really enjoy that show. And I've just resubscribed to Prime Video to watch Reacher Season 2. Do you know what? This is my plan. I'm going to be resubscribing to Prime because I want to watch The Boys, the Gen V one. I kind of didn't bother with it, but Reacher, I really enjoyed Reacher Season 1, so I do want to get Prime to watch Reacher 2, but I'm gonna wait maybe. I'm gonna get it. So I'm gonna get it in the next. It could be in the next week, couple of weeks, probably more. Probably need to finish off a few more shows that we're watching, but I'm gonna resub just to watch Reacher, definitely. Also, there was another show that's coming up. Fallout looks good as well, so that might be a reason enough to keep it. Matt says, I see Disney is sharing shows with Netflix. What are your thoughts? The thing is, the deal with Netflix in the US is mainly because they want Grey's Anatomy. If Netflix didn't have Grey's Anatomy, I don't think that deal would have gone through, just to be licensed that content out. Though those shows have been licensed out to like Channel 4 and Netflix and stuff here, they want Grey's Anatomy. It is the #1 show on streaming right now, along with Bluey. Disney want it. They're spending millions on this show every year, making new episodes, and they couldn't utilize it in the US. They couldn't get, they got 19 seasons. It's their most watched show on Netflix, and they can't use it. I mean, how frustrating must that been to, like, your biggest show, and you haven't got control over, you can't even get people to watch it. Weird. But again, it's like a 20-year-old show, so it's on an old contract. Chris says, due to the price hike, I end up dropping my ESPN Plus. Just can't see paying almost $28. That is a bit pricey. So I have got ESPN Plus at the minute, and I'll be honest, I've not really watched anything on it. I just got it because I got the bundle because I wanted to watch the Hulu on Disney Plus stuff. I think, in all fairness, I probably would be better. The only reason I've got it on there is because I want to see what happens when the flip over in March comes, of whether or not it gets incorporated into Disney Plus, because I want to be able to see what everybody sees and be able to report. If there's more sports in Disney Plus, I'm going to need to do more coverage of it. So that's why I've got it, is just so I've got a better understanding of what's on there. And I also just like learning more about like some of these ESPN shows and stuff, because I'm not necessarily a huge sports person. And also, like, sports here in the UK works very differently to the US, so therefore I'm not familiar. I mean, I've been watching a bit of like NFL Network and stuff, but like, and I did start watching what's his name? I've gone completely blank. The guy, he was a wrestler, Pat McAfee. So I was watching that on ESPN. So I do need to do a little bit more research into this ESPN stuff. Kelly said, I've cancelled my AMC A-list since 2024. Looks to be dry in terms of theatrical releases. Also, my favorite actors didn't say if a film was coming out in 2024, but I understand why. I think there is a thing of, that platform has to be worth you going. So however much it costs a month is how many times are you going to go cinema to see it. If you think that there's not enough movies coming out over the next 6 months that you're not going to go see it, then I can understand why you wouldn't do it. I don't think my local doesn't do it because it's only like £5 a go. And I do feel a little bit guilty sometimes of, like, I do feel like I should go and see like Poor Things and the upcoming Win or Lose or something like that. But it's a little bit, I'm not Win or Lose, the Taika Waititi Next Go Win ones. I do feel like I should go see it, and but sometimes it's just time. To go to the cinema and with all the ads and all the rest of it, it's like a 5-hour time sink. And that's time. That's time. Time is money. During the day, if I'm working, that's 5 hours of time I'm lost of not doing any work. So that's quite difficult. Whereas I put it on in the background, it's a bit different. Ricardo says, I've just noted that the potential acquisition of Disney by Apple now has an article. It's not a big deal. Surprise. Let's be honest. Wikipedia it's not an accurate source. Anyone can make an update. So this whole thing of this potential acquisition by Disney, it is just, it goes around and around and around and around. Apple is not in a position where they would want to spend that much on it. They don't want a theme park. They don't want linear television. And I don't know if it legally would go through. I just don't know if it would legally go through. Ricardo says, there are rumors now that amusement parks considering selling Paramount assets to other companies. It would be interesting to see how. Yeah, I think there's some big changes coming to Paramount. I think we're going to start seeing some shifting, some movement around in what they do. Definitely. I think we're just at a point now where we're seeing a consolidation of Paramount. It's not big enough globally to compete against like Disney and Comcast and Amazon and Netflix, and therefore they're just losing ground. And they can sign up with Comcast and do some deals and stuff, and that might keep them going. But Paramount is weaker because it's not strong enough. Kelly says, speaking of Comcast, I believe they're laggards when it comes to streaming. I remember CNBC this January reporting that the streaming bundle is cable 2.0, but that's okay. There definitely does, because I do watch a lot of CNBC, like Squawk Box and news reports and stuff, because there's some good stuff comes through sometimes. And I mean, the old guy that was the presenting on there, he definitely feels like someone that's sort of stuck in the past and kind of going, I remember when kind of thing of, and Comcast, they want to keep their old customers still in the old system, and it's difficult. It is difficult. I mean, I would say right now, if you can get a free aerial, or if you can get yourself an aerial installed, and you can pick up free local stations like ABC, or like here in the UK, BBC and stuff, get that for your live television, so you can watch live sport, you can watch news and all the rest of it, and then you just get your streaming apps as and when. You just do not need to have cable anymore. Bubba Trolling says, do you think Disney's going to sell the A&E group? I think it would be a good idea, but then suddenly now it might be a bit more valuable, since that stuff's now going on to Hulu. But I personally would be like, if I was at Disney, I'd be like, is this content usable? We either want all of it or none of it. That would be my way of doing it with A&E right now. Of like, if it's not helping, we need to dump it. Tim says, what month will win or lose premiere? We do not know. There's no information on any of that. It was obviously this month, but they pushed that back. Knoxwell says, I'm definitely excited for Percy Jackson and What If coming out this week. I'm really looking forward to Percy Jackson. This is a show it's be great to have something fresh. I don't know Percy Jackson. I've not read it. I've not seen it. This is a brand new franchise for me, and I'm all in on it. Definitely all in on it. Tim says, what month is second season of Extraordinary being released? All we know is early 2024. They've not set a date. Last time it came out in January, but I don't know if it's going to be a little bit later. Barbatronic says, what date do you think Hulu on Disney Plus will officially launch? I think it will be the first week of March. I think it's going to be early March. Jonathan says, do you think they will get any news on Skeleton Crew? I think we're going to get into next year. I don't think in the next 2 weeks. There might be a little stuff coming up in the next week or two, kind of like, here is what's coming in 2024, and we get 1 second of a clip. But remember, Skeleton Crew was originally in the 2023 highlight video, but they cut it out at the last minute. So I think we're probably going to end up with something, maybe either before Christmas or on New Year's Day or something like that. There'll be some kind of like, here's what's coming up in 2024. And they can also, as well, I would imagine they can then push in the Hulu on Disney Plus aspect at the end of it a little bit, and maybe throw in some like big hitters and stuff, just to kind of do a little bit of cross promotion that way. Kelly says, I do feel getting an antenna is important, since you can watch your local channels in the event that the local internet goes down. It is. I picked up an aerial the other day. It's an internal one, because I'm only about a mile from my local like station, because I had satellite, but in order to get all the channels, I was going to have to spend out some money to get someone to come in and change the NLB. And so there was an inside area. It was 10 quid. I thought, well, I'm going to try it. I can pick up Sky News, BBC News, all the BBC, and it's nice sometimes just to watch. Like last night we were watching the Strictly Come Dancing final, and in the mornings, we are quite old. We sit there and we watch like the equivalent of Good Morning America here in the UK. It was actually called Good Morning Britain. Is it Good Morning Britain? Yeah, Good Morning Britain. We watched. I watched that, and then we have like This Morning. And then we have like, my wife, we might end up like watching like Loose Women, which is the version of The View. So and then in the evening I'll watch the news and the local news. And so yeah, I'm still in that kind of thing of, I still go back to those core channels, but also, especially with the BBC and stuff, I'm paying every year for it. I have to pay the TV license, so I'm paying for my BBC content. So I do like to watch it. I'm paying for it. Matt says A&E. Oh, sorry. Tim says A&E is the only Disney network left on Foxtel on Australia. Do they still own it? Because I know here in the UK, we actually ended up having to sell the A&E channel, so they don't actually own it here in the UK. Matt says, what movies are coming out in 2024? So we've got Planet of the Apes movie in June, Deadpool 3 in July, Inside Out 2 in June. We've got the Lion King movie for Christmas. What else have we got? And there'll be some like Searchlight films thrown in with all the rest of it. Is that it? I'm thinking, is that all we've got? I don't know. We got like Lilo and Stitch coming to Disney Plus, but it's going to be a very light year. Disney have really they've bumped a load of them back. You know, Snow White, Elio, that's been bumped back. Captain America's been bumped back. Blade, Thunderbolts, they've all been pushed out the way. So they're going for a very light year, and maybe that's a good thing. Give them all a little bit more space to come out. I'm really intrigued now. There's got to be more movies than that coming out. Disney movies 2024. I'm gonna have to have a look, because that's got me thinking now of like, what is coming out? What is coming out over in the next few years? There's some untitled films, but we don't really know what they are. Yeah, there is not a lot out. There is not a lot coming out in cinemas next year. They are really, really pulling it back. Matt says, do you think we'll get more BBC shows on Disney Plus in the US? They do seem to. BBC needs to make money, so they will license out to anyone. So that's definitely a thing. Just looking here at the poll, it's 42% of you looking forward to Echo. I can see why. I've seen a couple episodes. It's good. Yeah, so that's interesting. I definitely feel like for me, Acolyte is probably the one I'm most looking forward to. Right, last question. Tim says Sonic 3 and the Lion King prequel coming out on the same day. Yeah, I suppose it depends. I mean, we might see, maybe Sonic might move. Right, okay. On that note, we've just reached the end of the questions. So thank you. Merry Christmas and to all, and good night. Yeah, so thank you to everyone. Thank you to all of our Patreon members. Thank you to all of our YouTube channel members. I hope you all have a absolutely fantastic Christmas and New Year. I hope you all have a really nice one. Plenty of presents, lots of catching up on telly, enjoying time with your family, playing the new video games. I'm hoping to get something on Christmas Day so I can play. Yeah, so I'll be back again. I'll be back with another live Q&A in 3 weeks' time. So obviously with New Year's Day or New Year's Eve and Christmas Eve, I won't be doing a live stream. We'll be having a little bit of a lighter weekend. There will still be any news updates. I'll still be doing Disney Plus news each day this week. If there's any news over, like between Christmas and New Year, like the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, there might be something, but I'm not. It's going to be a little bit hit and miss depending on what actually happens. But if you've got any questions, especially if you are a YouTube channel member, pop them on the daily video. Because it gets a bit quiet, I might end up using more questions. But yeah, so I'll still be doing that anyway. But again, thank you so much. Thank you for all your support. Thank you to everyone that's here in the live chat. And on that note, guys, thank you very much. See you guys soon. Laters.